Hey everybody, welcome to Caketastic Cakes. It's Jen, and we are going to make Detective Pikachu. Here we go. Alright, let's start at the very beginning with a big ball of yellow. Take your ball of yellow, roll it a little thinner so it's now a cylinder of yellow, and shove that lollipop stick right on through it, just like always. Smooth them out, because of course you're going to get fingerprints and hand dents in them. And you just made Pikachu's body. Look at how awesome we are already. Okay, make sure it's nice. Try to make the top a little bit thinner than the bottom. Even though his body is pretty thick, the same way, the same amount all through it, I still like to taper it a little bit at the top. I'm kind of giving him a little bit of a waist. Like I said, he's pretty darn chubby and pretty thick all the way through, but he still has a little bit of a flare where his back legs go. That white you saw right there that I cut the circle out of is going to be a little white patch. I'm going to pull the top to make it kind of more teardrop shape, and the white patch is going to go on his belly. He's got, in the movie, I don't know why, for some reason, he's got little white belly fur that comes up onto his chest a little bit in between his front paws and his back paws. So we're going to go ahead and do it. If I were making a regular Pikachu, there's no way I would add this on here. But since this is Detective Pikachu, we're going to add it. All right, now we're going to roll out his little front paws. He is pretty much a blob if you think about his body parts. He doesn't have really distinguishable fingers or toes or anything like that. He's a big blob of a body, and he's got little blobs of hands and feet. So I made my little cylinders. I'm smushing down the one end because that's where we're going to attach it. And I'm also going to take my knife, you're going to see here, and kind of cut it off at an angle. You see how it's at an angle? It's not straight off at the bottom, it's kind of at an angle, so that right in that dent that I made, his arm is going to nestle in there, and his little front paw is going to come out. Because in the movie, he's got kind of a, I don't know how to describe it, almost like a dewlap, if anybody ever did Rabbit 4-H. Shout out to you guys there. But yeah, he's got kind of like a dewlap or a chest ripple, or I don't know what you call it. But it's there. He's got a wrinkle there of extra fluff. It's a fluff roll. We all have those when we get older. Okay, now I'm just doing legs. I'm taking my veining tool and just making an indent from the front of his body to the side of the white and up top of the hip and a little bit behind, but it doesn't go all the way down in the back. And I'm also going to, you see I'm kind of pressing in a little bit just to try to make those back leg haunchy things stick out a little bit. Okay, we made the little front paws, and now we're going to make the back paws. It's the same idea as the front ones, just little cylinders, smush off the back end, and you don't have to do anything past that. The flattened part is going to tuck underneath his body, just so that it has a nicer surface to attach to. And yeah, just stick them in right where the little line goes in the front, and you got his little back paws. I am trimming off some of the top of him because he just ended up with a really long body. And it was too long for what I was looking for. It just didn't look right. When you see that ball there, that's going to be his head. And I was holding it up. It just didn't look right. So I'm trimming some of them off. And if you guys need to do that, you can do that too. Now, as far as the head goes, I started with the ball, press down on the top as you saw me do there, and then pinch in the cheeks a little bit. That's just to separate out a muzzle. The overall shape of his head, though, you can see it's fat. He's got big round cheeks at the bottom, and it narrows toward the top and then flattens off. He doesn't go into a total point like some little animals we might make. He does stay kind of flattened off at the top. I'm using that ball tool to, again, just kind of separate out his nose because he's got kind of a chubby face that comes forward, and then on top of the chubby cheeks and everything, he's got the little muzzle that comes out. So that's what I'm trying to do, just trying to separate the little muzzle on top of the chubby cheeks that is further back from the eyes. I just use that ball tool to press 2 eyes in. Make sure you guys watch the location that you put the eyes. They got to be kind of at the ends of his little muzzle on either end of it, not too far to the sides, but not too close in the middle either. As you see, I filled him in with just a couple white balls of gum paste, a little bit of water. He's got brown eyes. And his eyes take up, the irises of his eyes take up most of the eyeball. There's very little white that's left showing. So that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to fill it in as much as possible and just leave a little bit of white. The same color brown I'm going to use for his nose. He's got a tiny little nose, and it's very much cat-shaped. It's kind of triangular, pretty longer. It's longer across. A little point on the bottom side in the middle. Like I said, very much like a cat. I'm going to add his hat now. I don't know why I didn't just go ahead and stick the black for the pupils on, but I didn't because I tend to jump around when I do these things. I cut out a big circle. It has to be wide enough so that at its center point, or its halfway point, it covers both his eyes. His hat, the brim of the hat does cover both of his eyes. It goes just to the edge of his eyes. It doesn't go any wider. It's just a brown little mushroom cap for the center that I made, literally just a ball that I kind of pressed flat, and I liked it, so I went with it. I'm using my knife blade to put the indentations of it because it is a detective's cap, so it has little seams in the, I guess, felt or whatever it's made of. So that's what I did there. It looks a lot like a baseball cap, but when you stick the little piece on the back, then it starts to look more like a detective's cap. That's the piece I'm working on right there. It's, again, the same thing, just the circle of brown. Stick it in there and press it into place. And you got it. So you have a brim on the front, brim on the back. I added an extra line because I forgot to before. So that's what I'm doing there. And that little mark I put in the yellow, you see, don't worry about that because that's just something we're going to cover with his ears anyway. Now we're giving Pikachu his little red cheek patches. And they are kind of far out to the side, but still on the front of his face. And they're a good size, but don't make them too big. They're just maybe a little bit bigger than his eyes. You don't want them too big because you don't want them looking circus clowny or anything like that. So be careful on the size, but yeah, there you go, just red. That piece of yellow right there is going to be his ear. It is a flattened piece, not too flat, but it's basically an elongated teardrop with a flat bottom. Take a little piece of black like you see me doing there. It's rolled real thin and wrap it around the top. Kind of at an angle. You see it's kind of slanted up and out. And then pinch it all off on the back and smooth it out. A little piece of a dried lollipop, or geez, not a lollipop stick this time. We're using spaghetti, dried spaghetti. I don't use toothpicks in my decorations. I don't want any little kid ever getting hurt because my kid almost got stuck on a friggin' Mickey Mouse cupcake once. So that's not how I roll, people. Keep your decorations safe if you're doing kids' birthday cakes. Anyway, dried spaghetti, don't use the whole wheat or anything because that stuff gets soggy quick. Shove it in his head, as you saw, and you got an ear. I was holding that one up to the other one just to make sure I had the same size because symmetry is good. Pokemon tend to be rather symmetrical in their simplicity. Same thing, wrap it in black, a piece of spaghetti, stick it in on the other side, and you've got Pikachu ears. There you go. And I kind of have him a little bit at a different angle, just because he's kind of cute like that. I thought the one ear up and the one ear out a little bit kind of made him look a little more pensive or like he's thinking about things. I don't know. Okay, now we're going to do the back of him. This is brown, the same color brown we've been using. I just took a kind of a cylinder of it and rolled it out flat, and using the back of my fingernails, I'm making the shape nice and even. Those are going to be the stripes that go on his back. He has 2 brown stripes. So, yeah, it kind of goes behind his shoulders. You can see where I'm placing it there. It doesn't go all the way around him, but it goes most of the way. Another one underneath of it. They're a little bit on the closer side together, which is fine. Just where they should be if you're a Pikachu. And then last but not least, we're going to do his tail. Or his eyes. I forget. Let's find out. Yep, going to the tail. Okay. That's sad when I don't even remember what I did. All right, I remade his tail a bunch of times. Make yourself a big fat lightning bolt, okay? That's really all you got to do. If you look at pictures of Pikachu, like the cartoon, he could have 4 or 5 little zigzags. Other pictures, you'll see 2 or 3. You know, it just, as long as you have the gist of the tail, it's got to be like a big fat number 7 at the top. See how it looks like a number 7? With a couple little zigzags in it, and that's all you need. It just has to get a little bit thinner as it goes down, not even a lot. His tail is pretty darn forgiving, I gotta say. Yeah, there you go. I just made a Pikachu tail. Now, because he's going onto the back of him, I'm cutting it off at the angle there so I can lay it up against his body and have it coming out to the side because I want him to be presentable from the front, and I still want you to be able to see it. If this were something I was doing on a cake myself, I'd probably still do it that way. If you're trying to make a real Pikachu, you would wrap the bottom in black and have it sticking out straight behind him. And I just talked over top of what I just did there. It was a brown edible food coloring marker. Give him a cat face, the cat mouth, you know, like the letter M kind of, or W I guess it would be. upside down M, and he has a little bit of a chin underneath, so that's what that little extra line underneath of his mouth is. There's the black for the pupils. There you go. Same idea. The pupils are pretty darn big too, so they're going to take up a lot of the brown. The brown takes up a lot of the white, and even though that one looks crooked, it kind of is, but when you see it from the front, it's not so bad, so be better than me, people. Do better with the eyes. A little white highlight. They need the highlight because Pokemon are kind of bland looking without it. You see he's got the little D-lap there too. Aren't I clever? So anyway, I'm going to add the tail. I had to let it dry because otherwise it would have sagged and lost its lightning bolt shape. So I use a piece of fresh yellow gum paste, get it wet, press it to his body, wet it again, sandwich the tail onto the back, and since it's hard, I can have it sticking out to the side a bit, and it will stay, and it won't lose its shape or sag. And there you go. You got Detective Pikachu. Isn't he cute? Yes, he is. I'll answer for you. Check out my other videos. I've got other Pokemon. I've got all kinds of cartoons and video games. But anyway, please like and subscribe. Check out my other videos. Thank you for watching Caketastic Cakes.